Tips for photographing pancakes. What's up YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. On this channel I talk about everything to do with food and drink photography, so if that interests you, click subscribe down below. With Pancake Day coming up in the next couple of weeks, Instagram is going to be absolutely cram-packed full of gorgeous, lovely, mouth-watering pancake photos. If you've been looking at these in previous years and wondered how you can take some amazing pancake photos yourself, then stay tuned, because in this video I'm going to be talking all about how to take and photograph pancakes. Before I go into the video, I just want to say that the more squishy, thicker, round pancakes are what we call here American pancakes in the UK, and then the sort of French crepe, bigger, thin, we just call pancakes. These tips are going to be for both. I'll sort of go through and mention if one of them's more sort of suited to one type of pancake than the other. First tip I want to talk about is angles. Pick the right angle for the pancakes you're photographing. If you're using American pancakes, like the thicker, chunkier ones, then tend to be served in a stack, so that's nice and high. I would suggest shooting these more straight on, or even for an even more grander look, a little bit lower and looking up. This gives it sort of like a grander, taller feeling. This is a really good angle if you're thinking of pouring some syrup over your stack, and it's a good angle to show off the height of those pancakes, which we commonly associate with that sort of American stack style pancake. If you also have a lot of interest on the top of your American style stack pancakes, you might want to think of something at a 45 to 75 degree angle. This is going to give you a little bit of a tilt, so you're going to still see a lot of the top of the pancake as well. For crepes, things like flat lays are a lot more common, so you can see sort of like the larger size and shape of these pancakes, and they've got a lot of sort of interesting textures and colours when they get fried off as well, which shows a lot better. Also, these aren't as tall, they're not as thick, so if you shoot them as a flat lay, you're not going to really get that height, that wow factor like you are with the American style pancakes. My next tip is lighting. Everybody's sort of got their preferred way of lighting things, but if you were doing a American style stack pancake, I would recommend trying to light it from the side. This is going to stop getting too many shadows on the front of that stack. If you're lighting it from behind, although a very great way of lighting lots of different things, the front of your stack is just going to be completely in the shadow. If you are still really adamant that you want to shoot it with a backlight, make sure you add a reflector into the front just to bring some of that detail back into the front of the image, which is a really important part of the image. Tip number 3, and that is to add some action or hands into the scene. Like I mentioned with the American stack, a really nice thing to do is to pour over some syrup, something commonly served with pancakes. That pour shot is adding that extra little bit of interest in, or maybe even a hand grabbing a pancake or taking a bite out of something like a crepe. A human element doesn't just need to be a hand as well. If you've already taken a bite out and you put it back, that's adding a little bit of interest too, like you know someone's come and taken a bite out of it. One thing to remember is always take a couple of pictures that you want to without the action done first, especially if you're doing a bite shot. You can always pour the syrup on and take a bite shot of the pancakes, but you can't take the syrup back off and you can't put that bite back in to the pancakes. So make sure they're always the last thing on the list. Tip number 4, and that is to add some garnish to your pancakes. Firstly, I don't know anyone that sits and eats pancakes plain. Everybody always likes them with something. My husband absolutely loves Nutella. I'm more of a fan, I like syrup and lemon and sugar. Nutella too, I mean I'll have anything on pancakes. So because of this, it would be strange to serve up a plate of pancakes without having anything on top. Another thing is it's nice to add some colour in there. Pancakes are quite sort of soft and like a yellowy browny colour, which is not the most flattering thing. Adding in a bit of garnish adds a bit more colour and vibrancy to your pancakes, and another little bit of interest or texture as well. Tip number 5, and this is another one about the sort of shooting brown food things. Pancakes, like I said, are very brown. Not really the most attractive things, brown foods. The toppings and the sort of garnishes we add to them can really help with this. But another thing is picking your backgrounds. One way to really make brown food stand out from a scene is to use a contrasting background. So that's using a colour on the opposite side of the adobe wheel, so something like a blue. We can also look at using a really nice simple background, like a light white or a grey, and then your pancakes is also going to jump out. Definitely keeping the background simple. Tip number 6, and that is to make plenty. No matter what sort of pancake you're doing, whether it be the American stack style pancakes or crepes, make as many pancakes as you can. For the stacks, you're going to want a really high stack, so you're going to need probably more than you would serve up per person, maybe even more than you'd serve to 2 people, because it needs to look quite impressive. Another reason to make way more pancakes than you need is because there is a common saying that the first pancake is not good, and it's not just the first one. If you are like anything like me, every other pancake will just not be quite as good as you want for the photos. You're going to want to be able to pick and choose all of the best pancakes from the batch. And the more you've got, the more options you're going to have of which is the best looking. Another tip as well is to let them cool down first. So normally I say make something at the last minute so it stays nice and fresh, but with pancakes they don't really change, they don't wilt. If they do look a little bit dry, you can sort of brush them with a bit of oil or a sort of like a cooking spray, but I don't tend to have that problem. The reason I say leave them to cool down is firstly it's going to be a lot easier for you to move them around on set, you're not going to be burning your fingers, and they're not going to wilt any of the garnish you've put on. So if you've got something nice and fresh on top, it's going to sort of start to look a bit sad a lot quicker, or if you're using something like cream and syrup, it'll sort of melt into the pancakes a lot quicker if it's warm. If it's colder, it's going to last that little bit longer, which you're going to be really thankful for. Tip number 7, and that is to use small plates. Normally if we're eating off a plate, we'll have plenty of room to sort of move around, cut and chop and that sort of thing. When you're photographing the food, you don't need that room, and having a pancake on a big plate is going to make the pancake look really small and the plate look absolutely gigantic, which is just going to take all of the focus away from your pancakes. It's also going to mean that your pancakes don't need to be as big to fill the plate. Number 8, and this is for stacking American style pancakes. To make the stack feel a little bit fuller and less sort of wilty, add in small bits of cardboard, a little bit smaller than pancakes, between each layer, which is just going to lift your whole stack up, but they should droop down enough that you're not seeing the cardboard between each pancake. This just is a really good tip to help your whole stack look a little bit plumper, a little bit happier, and a bit taller. Tip number 9, and that is to take a few different images in your setup. The first image you go for, it's not always going to be the best one, even though it's the one you've got in your mind. We could do this with different stages, so you could do an ingredient shot, you could do something fun with the making of the pancakes, and then you could do the pancakes themselves, and then maybe one being eaten, that sort of thing. Add in different steps to your shoot, so you've got more images. This is really good if you put them on social media because it allows people to scroll through, either see different images in a carousel, or you've got a few days worth of images. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this pancake video. Next week's video is going to be a behind the scenes of this pancake shoot I did, and that will be just a day before Pancake Day. So I hope you watch these tips, and I would love to see any pancake photos you do. Tag me on Instagram at amphotographeruk if you use any of these tips for your own pancakes. Bye guys! Wow.